Good evening and welcome to the Dracut Connection. I'm Brian Bond. I'll be a lead co-host for this evening. It's September 29th and we're coming to you live from DATV Studios. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Bill Moran, and Mr. Gordy Scott, co-host. We're also special guests tonight. We've got a candidate for the Governor's Councilors, Richard Baker Jr. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Brian. I'm glad to be here.
We usually, in the beginning of the show, we just kind of talk about what we did this previous weekend to kind of loosen things up a little bit. And I'm going to start off with Bill because
as usual,
he doesn't do anything.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go up the lake last weekend.
Yeah. Nice.
I actually stayed home around the house and worked.
All right, good deal. Gordy.
Well, we got basketball starting up, so we're hot and heavy right now. Travel tryouts tomorrow night's the last night. For tryouts, I ran a clinic last week. It was pretty good. We made about $1,400 for the program,
Nice.
so that was good. I always enjoy working with the kids and seeing their face when they get better at dribbling or passing or shooting or whatever. So it's pretty enjoyable. So I liked it.
Right.
So
Rich,
how about you? How about for the Mountain Man?
For Mountain Man, we climbed 5 mountains last weekend. And the weekend before, I think it was 6 mountains. So in the past 2 weeks, I've climbed 11 mountains, which brings me up to
How many are you at?
93 for the year.
Ooh, you're almost to 100.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
A lot of bushwhacking, some 4,000 footers, hiking in the rain, good times. But I don't want to take too much of your
And
time.
taking skeleton bones.
No bones. We haven't. I found a snake and a mylar balloon. Sometimes, when these balloons go up in the air, these mylar balloons, they're gonna fall somewhere.
And
We find them out in the woods, middle of nowhere.
that's where they fall.
Yeah. But before we get into the Governor's Council issue, we want to find a little bit of personal stuff about
Yes.
you. What did you do this past weekend? What are your hobbies? And
Hobbies?
Yeah.
Right now it's campaigning. But between campaigning, my son bought us a Ferguson TO20, a 1950s tractor, an
cool.
antique
That's
tractor
cool.
for Christmas. And he was determined to get that at the Deerfield Fair.
Nice.
So the beginning of the weekend, the axle was out of it. It was on jacks. The tire was in the front yard, and by the end of the weekend, he had the tire on there and put all of the sheet metal back on that he had off for painting, and it is at Deerfield Fair.
So
it's,
you drove it there?
No, it was a big challenge. I guess just getting it onto the trailer and
yeah.
back.
Well, you
'Cause
picked
when-
a good subject because Dracut being a farm town, it's really not a farm town, but Dracut likes to think it is. That's a good subject to talk about, tractors and farming and that type of thing. So that's great. Sounds like you had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so how, did it run at all, or did you just?
It
it
ran.
runs.
Oh, yeah, he had it running. He took it down the driveway and came back up and said, "Yeah, I don't have the brakes adjusted right. They didn't work, and I had to put it into a pine tree to stop." So we were a little panicky, but my son knows what he's doing. He's a electrical engineering student at WPI, but he's very good mechanically, and so he adjusted the brakes. And as I was afraid, driving it up onto a trailer, he was going to keep right on
going.
going into his pickup truck. But apparently
That
he
would
got
have been
that
funny
taken.
for you, but not him.
So let's get right to business. If you could, just tell the folks a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Governor's Council.
And maybe what Governor's Council is, because
Right,
I'm sure
That's probably the most
Yes,
important question.
yes,
Exactly,
asking.
exactly.
Why don't you tell people what the Governor's Council does?
Right, well, let's start with that. The Governor's Council is one of the most important positions in the state government that nobody knows about. It's the citizens' input to the judiciary. So we don't elect judges in Massachusetts, we elect governor's councilors. And the governor's council's job is to interview the judge candidates that the governor puts forward and give them an up or down vote. So it's the last step to make sure that we're putting good judges on the bench. And judges serve till they're 70 years old in Massachusetts. So if the Governor's Council makes a mistake, that's with us for 20, 30 years. You also asked why I'm running. I've just always willing to give back to my community. I've been serving for years. I served on the Pentucket Regional School Committee. I'm currently serving on the West Newbury Board of Assessors. I've got a number of nonprofit boards that I serve on. So that's just who I am.
So what did you do for a living,
I work with patents. I've got a consulting firm, New England Intellectual Property, and I do everything you can do with a patent without being a lawyer. So I help people to get their patents. I argue with patent examiners as to why an inventor should have their patent. I help them write the patent. And then once they have a patent, I help them make money on it. I can help them sell it as a patent broker or help them license it. I can work with some attorneys and to litigate the patent if somebody's using it. And so I do an awful lot with the patents. And that gets me into working with the court system at the federal level, which is why I'm interested in judges and the
Appointments.
and their appointments in Massachusetts.
So I take it you're a big fan of Shark Tank then. Would that be true?
I have seen it a couple of times, but I'm just so busy with all of the things I'm involved in. I don't have time to watch TV.
Could you tell the folks how many members sit on this council, and the seat that you're running for, who do you represent? What area?
Right. There are 8 members of the Governor's Council, and each of them have 5 Senate districts. So the district I have covers the Merrimack Valley and the North Shore. So it runs from Pepperell all the way down to Rockport, from Salem up to Salisbury.
Oh, so that's a big area.
It's a huge area. There's about 800,000 people in that area.
That's a
folks-
lot of door knocking. If you want to knock.
You cannot
can't-
door knock for that type of a district. It's bigger than a congressional district.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I run for.
we got
I
them
ran-
here on the Dracut Connection.
Yes.
Right.
So you're going to get millions of votes here.
That's it.
Excellent.
You know?
But yeah, I ran for Congress in 2008 against John Turney in the 6th Congressional District.
Right.
And so I've got experience running very large campaigns over for large area. It's a totally different mindset than you have when you run for state rep.
Yep. Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. State rep is
State
a
rep
piece
is
of
door-
cake.
it's door-
Piece of cake.
It's
compared
door
to
knocking.
Any
Yes.
questions?
No, I don't. I defer to you guys.
Oh, geez. You're my brains of this
Well,
operation.
no, I mean, I just think with his background in litigating patents and everything, I think he would be a perfect fit for the Governor's Council, because you're actually going to be talking to the judges and making sure they meet the requirements of, what the state's looking for. So.
Can you tell me how many judges get appointed each year?
I don't know the exact number per year. There's just under 500 judges that we have in Massachusetts, between magistrate judges, district court judges, appellate and Supreme Judicial Court justices. So I'd say 50, 60 judges come before the Governor's Council. This year and next year is special because the Supreme Judicial Court, there are 7 members on the Supreme Judicial Court in Massachusetts, and 5 of them are retiring. 3 of them retired this summer and were replaced by Governor Baker, and those 3 judges have just been seated.
They're appointed?
They're appointed by Governor Baker and approved by the Governor's Council.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
And the Governor's Council approved them in July and August, and they've just started their terms. And there's 2 more that will come up during my term as Governor's Council.
Can you tell the folks how frequent you folks meet?
We meet once a week on Wednesdays in a conference room off the Governor's office.
Oh,
So it's pretty busy.
it is.
Yes. If you're going to appoint 50 people in a
You-
year, that's one a week.
lot. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of work. That is a
Right.
lot of work. So, when the governor, is he restricted to who he's allowed to pick to be a judge? Do you have to be a lawyer to be a judge? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Because some
Right.
states you don't have to be a lawyer to be a judge.
While I don't think you need to be a lawyer, I'm not exactly sure.
I'm sorry,
by-
it was
to be a
but-
judge. In Massachusetts, they won't consider anyone that is not a lawyer.
Okay, because in the southern states and other states too, I know
Right.
they, you don't have to be
You
a
have a
lawyer.
law degree, basically.
Or a
It would
law
help
degree. You
not.
don't. No.
Yeah.
But having helped, having managed patent litigations and having worked with the lawyers on what they have to do, you need to have a good legal training to be able to evaluate the briefs that both sides present, evaluate the law and judicial precedent, and apply the facts to it. That's not an easy task and requires quite a bit of training and experience, and you only want the best lawyers to be judges, people that have the wisdom to make that determination.
So that the folks know, this election is going to be the same time as the presidential election, which
Yes.
is on the 8th, correct?
So it
Yes.
should be a big turnout.
Big
Yes.
turnout.
We're expecting a big turnout.
Do you know where you're sitting on the ballot? Is there a,
Yeah, it would be, the president's at the top, then we have nobody running for Senate this time, so it'll be, here would be Nikki Songus and Ian Walton. Wofford.
Wofford.
Yep. Will
we've
be
had
the-
her on the show.
Right, will be the next one down. Then comes counselor. And it doesn't say governor's council on the ballot, it says counselor.
And folks, just so you remember his name, I don't know if you can put it up on the screen while we're having this conversation, Ron, but there you go. Let's keep that up so the folks at home, they know who they're going to vote for before they get there.
Yes.
You know?
And my son got his absentee ballot for the primary, and he said, "Dad, you're running for counselor? I thought you were running for the governor's council." And it's even more confusing for those in the cities where there is a city councilors.
Yeah, really.
And
Yeah, I would think that would be confusing
Yeah,
for some.
for some people it would be, yeah.
right, I would love to get that changed.
That, I guess the Secretary of State could change that, I would think.
And I looked at it, and Mass General Law says counselor, and it's spelled with 2 L's, which is not the normal spelling
Oh.
because that's the way they spelled it when they drafted the Massachusetts laws
So
back
that
in
could be changed any
1790.
yeah, but that could still be changed too,
Yes,
with the
update the spelling and put it on the ballot that it's governor's
Governor's
council.
Council.
We're kind of running out of time on the segment. We really appreciate you coming all the way down here to reach out to the folks from Dracut. So if you could, just one more time, let the folks, tell the folks your name and what you're running for and a little, again, what the Governor's Council does so that they can remember and vote for you on the 8th.
Sure, I'm Rich Baker. I'm running for Governor's Council in Dracut and all of the rest of the Merrimack Valley and the North Shore. And I'm running to make sure that we have judges appointed to the Massachusetts bench that follow the rule of law, that read the Constitution, read the text of the law, and interpret it clearly. Not put their personal opinions in there. People that can separate their personal opinions and focus on the text of the law and apply the facts of any particular case to that.
Excellent. We appreciate you coming into the Dracut Connection.
Thank you very
And,
much.
thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay.
Thanks. We're going to take a quick intermission, then we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about Dracut politics,
Are we?
as usual. And at the end of the show, we're going to go to Bill's Corner. We're going to talk about Trump and Hillary. We'll be.
And we're out.
You got plans?
You bet.
$50 million Americans struggle with hunger, but we can do something about it.
Excuse me.
What's going on?
Dinner.
Please join me in helping put food on their tables. Together, we can feed America.
You guys keep going. I'm gonna get the plates.
Plates.
Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Welcome back to the Dracut Connection. Rich Baker seems like a great candidate.
Yeah, and like we said at break, I think it's good to put a face to the name, you know, so when you see his name on the ballot, at least
It says
you've got
counselor,
Yeah,
it's for
right,
governor.
right.
I don't know why they don't put that on there, governor's council
right.
or something.
I appreciate the fact, if you talked about the area that he covers,
That's a big area.
that's a huge area, and he's coming out to Dracut.
Well, because we're the #1 show on Dracut TV.
Well, not only are we
who
the
wouldn't
number
wanna
one
be on the show?
We're almost 4 years running now.
Boy.
Come the beginning of the year, we're 4 years running. This happens to be our 128th episode. They said it would never last. They tried to stop us at least a dozen times now, and but we're still here. We're still moving. So
Bill still has a heartbeat.
I still have a heartbeat. I still have a pulse.
yeah.
I'm
And
losing it, though.
Bill still doesn't do any preparation before the show.
Can't help it. That was the agreement before I signed on.
Bill agreed. He said he'd come on the show, but I'm not doing any work.
I've done it for 20 years. It was about time I took a
And
break from it.
so I do the preparation. I rely on Gordy quite a bit now to do the preparation.
And I'm just
Pretty
someone
face.
filling in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
seat, that's all.
Pretty face.
But Brian, we got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about, but prior to that, and I didn't actually have this on the agenda, I have to ask Bill, because Bill's a water commissioner, and I know they've been looking for a new superintendent. Any updates, anything you can tell the folks?
Yes, it looks like we might have one. And we'll know at the next meeting, how everything goes. And hopefully we'll have one by the next meeting. And everyone will know when we have one.
All right.
That's it.
The folks also want to know about the update, if any, on the water, the treatment for the manganese.
Okay.
And anything going on
That's
there?
still being looked at, and that particular well is shut down.
Still shut
It-
down,
there-
no
yeah,
change?
no change, no.
Okay.
All right, so no,
Okay.
everything
nothing to
is
worry
safe,
about?
nothing at all to worry about.
Nothing to
no.
worry about. The
No.
well is shut down.
No,
the
exactly.
manganese is out of the water for now, and we'll.
Exactly. And the wells were, like I told you earlier,
Well, that's good.
we're in a drought, and all the wells is almost grabbing everything from the bottom, basically.
Right.
Not from the bottom, but things are a lot lower than normal.
Right.
Picking at the
And
bottom.
that could be part of the problem. We don't know yet, but that we're waiting till things
the
get a
water
little bit.
table comes back up, hopefully
Exactly.
soon.
Exactly.
All right, so the first item on the agenda, if you could you put up the screen? I've got this fat cat's photo here,
Which one are you?
and well, it's not
It
me.
looks like you with the cigar.
That's the
Oh, they
Dracut
all got
Housing
you.
Authority at O'Hara's after their meeting, after they just had another political hire, okay? And it really freaks me out because after leaving the Housing Authority, and, I was a workhorse over there. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
I just did.
I'll say that for you.
All right.
Not me.
I did my utmost to work on, with other folks, the purchase of 17 acres of land over on Bridge Street to develop the senior housing. Had the town spend $1.5 million roughly to purchase it, and then we got the town to approve another $3 million to develop it. It's going nowhere, which freaks me out. The new group of commissioners are not moving forward with it. I proposed changing the heating system from electric to gas, and we were going to save like 85% of our electric bill was going to be reduced. But they decided, because it was my
You had a
my
you had
show,
an alternative motive.
because it was my idea, they would change from electric to electric. Go figure. So
Did they look into solar? They got the land for the
yeah,
solar, don't they?
actually got to give Mary Karabatsas credit, because she did enter into some solar agreements to save them some money. So
Oh,
kudos
okay,
to Mary
good,
Karabatsas
good.
for that. But since I've been gone, there's a new political hire, right? And I posted this on the Dracut Connection Facebook page. So, previously we had a James Murphy get hired, who happens to be the son of Paul Murphy, who's a very close board member, a very close member, friend of a board member, George Nagel. And there was also financial donations from Paul to George. He's also very close with Russ Taylor, Jesse Forestier, Matt Sheehan, and Deborah DeWitt. And then the second hire is another political hire. And now, folks, there's only 7 people that work there. So, so we've got one political hire. Then this other Michael Hubert comes in. He's very close with one of the secretaries down there who actually, they tried to give her a big raise when I was there. It was much more than everybody else was getting. I made a big stink about it. So after I was gone, what they did was, and she's a very nice lady too, but they gave her a title change and gave her a huge increase in her salary. All this, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
Maybe she might be worth it.
Right. She probably, everybody's worth it, Bill, but, you've got to take care of the tenants, the seniors first before you start, divvying out all the free cash. All right. So then so we have another person retire at the Housing Authority, and Jerry Flynn's, who's close with everybody over there, Mary Carabassis, Russ Taylor, the whole crew, they're all like this little clique. His sister-in-law gets hired for the job. Now, they might all say, and they may be all qualified for it, but it just seems that, if you're not one of the connected few, you need not apply, okay?
Does she live in Dracut?
I don't know if she lives in Dracut. I don't
I'm
think
just
so.
wondering.
I don't think she lives in Dracut. Some of these other folks might live in Dracut. But, so that was another political hire. So that's 3 out of 7. So now there was a secretary that was there who I guess had just left. And lo and behold, another nationwide search. And Arlene Miles gets hired. Does that last name sound familiar to you folks? Miles?
Yeah.
Mike Miles was a school committee member who sat on the school committee with Matt Sheehan. And by the way, Matt Sheehan, while I was sitting on the school committee, and Mike Miles was a Lowell police officer or worked for the police department, Matt Sheehan just happened to get a job down the Lowell Police Department. And now, believe it or not, Arlene Miles gets the job. So it's another coincidence, folks. I just don't get it. So that's 4 out of 7 people that are like political hires.
But she might be, more knowledgeable in that for that position than anyone else. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
could be a
got to take if
coincidence.
they take the most qualified person. I don't care who it is, as long as they're the most qualified person
Right.
for the job. That would never affect me on who I hire.
You wouldn't do that, would you, Commissioner?
Yeah, sure. You want a job?
Please. It's just driving me out of my mind. Hey, folks, if you want to join in the conversation, it's 978-957-4243. The problem is, okay, if this is what they do right in front of your face, who are they forcing to get housing? There's 300 people on the housing list. 300 seniors waiting to get in on senior housing. If you think for 1 minute that they're not they're putting their friends in over other people, you're living in a pipe dream, folks. Because
Especially if you're number 1 on the list, the next one to get on the list, right? And
Yeah.
you get passed by somebody else, you'd be pretty upset.
Yeah, these people put their friends in positions and hire them, and they give them these great jobs. And let me tell you, folks, these are not, low-paying jobs. They're all very high-paying jobs with huge bennies. You put in your time, you get a pension and a half. Do you at home get a pension? You at home that are on the waiting list, you're sitting there, you're waiting to get in on housing, right? But no, because you're not one of the select few, you can't get in because somebody else is getting in. And that just makes me puke. And what are they doing with the senior housing? They're delaying it. They're not building it. And folks, when that senior housing goes in, don't think you're getting in there. You're not connected enough to get into the nice new stuff. It's going to be all the favorite
Connected,
people.
the
Yeah.
connected people.
Yeah, the connected people will get in. That's my rant. It just makes me want to puke.
That
all
was
those
about
fat
6
cats.
minutes of it.
Yeah. So. All right. I'm really freaking out here.
Okay.
So, our next agenda item.
He's
I
hiding
almost threw away
everything
the
from
agenda.
me too.
All right, and I'm going to
His
list.
He's
blood
hiding
pressure's
stuff.
up.
He's hiding stuff from me too.
The blood
I've got
pressure's
all
up.
my agenda items highlighted with color, and then I've got all my notes highlighted in that same color. if you did your homework, you would have the same stuff.
We had an agreement, now you're breaking the agreement.
My agreement was never to give you my homework. All right.
Don't point that, it's
We
gonna
want to talk
nail it.
about the superintendent's proposal for new technology, and I asked my good friend, Mr. Gordy Scott, to study up on that.
Yep.
And let's talk to the folks about it.
Well, I think, he made a presentation last night at the Selectmen's meeting. I think he did a good job on the presentation. He did say it was about 1.092, I think $1,092,000 that they need to put in fiber optic cables, network switching, Wi-Fi repeaters, and he also talked about a voice over IP. And I wasn't quite sure if that was included in the I'll just call it 1.1 million to round up.
But are you telling me now, this is just to wire up the school?
This is to basically upgrade all the technology because they have old equipment,
I
old
understand
network
that,
equipment.
but is that just going from the pole to the school?
Well, it's going to be, I think, on the loop. So it's going to be out to the street so the town can, if they'd like to,
And I
tie
believe
into
they're
it.
going to update the phone system because I
The
guess their
voice over,
phones.
yeah, that was kind of a contention. They said, well, maybe
I
we'll
heard
take it
that.
out because it's not.
But
It's not
Gordy,
necessary, but
Hey, give me a minute. Now what you're telling me about the new technology they want to put in, fiber optics and all. Do we actually have fiber optics on our poles now?
No.
And who's
That's
going to
the
pay for
problem.
that?
Well, that would be the town if they want to tie into
Oh,
it.
so
would have to tie into it.
wait a minute now. How could you ask for $1.5 million to do a job when you don't even have?
Well, it's to build for the future so you can tie the whole area together.
I would-
Well, let me just tell you, 'cause
let them finish
ahead.
the.
so we're doing this at my company, and we have a small campus environment similar to the school property, and I'm actually involved in this project, and it's costing us
Did
about.
the town reach out to you for help on
No,
suggestions?
they
on
didn't.
this?
Okay, yeah, okay.
So this is costing us without any other equipment, just for the fiber optic cabling. And by the way, it's like a 6-month waiting period right now to get a vendor to come in and run this fiber.
Right.
And right now, I don't know if the superintendent knows, but fiber right now is at a premium because everyone is expanding and there's not a lot of fiber optics available right now. So I think it's costing us around $600,000, and we had to go through a lot of jockeying to get that money for us, and so we're on a waiting list now. We got approved, and we're on a waiting list just to do the fiber optics. This is no equipment. So I kind of question that $1.1 million. I don't know if that's going to be enough money, but if that's what they say, I guess we got to eat the dog food where we're going to believe what they say.
All right, but what I'm saying, go ahead, finish, Gordy.
So, and the thing is then he brought up the fact that the state's going to have matching funds, and if we don't get the matching funds, we can get a 0% loan for 5 years, and that will pay for part of it. And then the town managers chimed in and said, well, we're going to start a technology fund similar to we do for
Didn't we ask for some? Wasn't this part of the override?
No, well, this is the original override.
Request?
That came in last year. They were going to use the money for the technology for year 1, and then year 2 that went away. So now they had $300,000,
they could use that to
$400,000 to
afford.
hire teachers, and
So they're coming back.
they're coming back again, which we predicted they would.
So basically what we're doing, we're putting the cart in front of the horse. That's
No, I think-
basically,
No, because the technology, whatever they put in, they're going to be able to use it correctly.
But when
anyway.
right.
But it won't be fiber optic speed, but it'll be much better than what they have now.
No, it'll be fiber optic. They're actually running fiber optics, and then they're going to
Within
running
their own
fiber
network.
optic.
within their own network, right?
Right.
So.
But not from the street, but within the network of the school.
And
it allows the town
Let me
to
say
tie
this a
in.
little bit slower.
Go ahead, no.
Through the
Yeah,
network
of the school, and I understand that, but still, you actually.
So, I mean, I think everyone agrees that anyone, if you want to put fiber optics in your house, yeah, everyone would want
But it's
that,
not going
right?
to make an improvement on my TV, watching it if I'm getting the cable in, is
No,
it?
but within your network system, you'll
Right.
be able to process things much quicker.
Right, the kids will be able to communicate better, the teachers will be able
So
to communicate
where is
better.
this
Okay.
money coming from? That's what I want you to help explain.
money-
to
So,
me.
right, so they're going to come to the town, so that, I guess what happened is, I don't completely understand it, but I guess we had some excise money that wasn't accounted for. There was extra money that
And this
came
is,
in.
hey, this is what's going to make you guys throw up, all right? Because I watched part of this in the selectmen's meeting,
Yeah.
and I almost agree with what Dracut
Rocco
said.
I know, I had to agree. I was like,
I almost agreed with Dracut. Like, I do agree with him, but I don't want to say it publicly. But you know, before we had no money, we were asking for it. Now all of a sudden they found money.
Yeah.
And-
Wow, where
supposedly
did that come from?
From extra excise taxes from cars. I guess people are buying new cars and.
Yeah,
They're not
they got
actually
me.
buying, they're leasing.
They're
The majority of
leasing,
the
yeah.
people are leasing.
I
Well,
was.
I'd like to see I mean, and I typically stand up for the manager, but on this I might have to, you know, I would be with DeRocco on this, you know, because he did say, well, we got a lot of building permits and, you know, but I don't know where the building permits.
We didn't have
the
snow
excise-
fee, right? We didn't have a lot of snow last year, so
Yeah,
I'm sure.
so where'd this 200 grand come from? I don't
So he
know.
wants to basically create a stabilization fund similar to what we have for the fire department, the police department. So when they need a new fire truck or new police.
I don't
car,
have a
we-
problem with that, but you don't spend it until you have all the money to do it.
Well,
Bingo.
But I do like the idea that he wants to start this, and I think it should be done.
I think, yeah.
I just
On a
the part-
stabilization
stabilization,
fund?
absolutely, and I
Right.
agree with, I believe in stabilization.
The part that bothered me is that they were asking for it then, for an override, and they didn't have it, and now all of a sudden they found it. That's what kind of bothers me.
So the interesting thing, Brian, and I think the stabilization fund is good, and I think we should do it like Bill said. I think Bill agrees, right?
Yep.
But the problem is this is now going to get tied into the schools, and we've seen the last 3-4 years that anytime there's an override for the school for any reason, the voting public puts it down, and it's not my opinion, it's not your opinion, it's a fact.
I
It's
had
everything-
somebody send me a text, and I apologize for not seeing it earlier, but this person sent me a text, and I don't know how true it is, but we'll have to check into it, that the Housing Authority is looking to sell the land to a private developer
What?
to develop senior housing. Talking about, which kind of freaks me out.
To a private developer.
Yeah. And somebody said, hey, say hi to Bob, Corey, and Gay, because I'm sure they're watching from Town Hall and reporting to Town Hall West. You know,
Leave Bob and Gay alone.
I know, I'm
Bob
beginning
and
to-
Gay, I'll tell you right now, Bob and Gay's done a lot for this community.
No, they have. And I'm beginning to like
And I
them.
don't agree with him all the time, but they do care for their
Yeah,
community.
I'm beginning to like Bob a little bit because I was
about
looking
time.
at his financial statement for his campaign finance reports, because I was looking at how Jesse Forcia was taking huge donations from the Trinity Ambulance. And so I looked at Bob Corey's. He didn't take money from anybody. You know, so which is good.
Right.
You know?
So I just think, I'm afraid that when this warrant comes in front of the town, it requires a 2/3 vote. So I think it's a good thing, and I hope it passes, but I'm afraid.
If it's put in that stabilization fund, I don't have a problem with it. And it's got to be taken out.
And the
a certain
problem
way.
is they're going to push this as like,
All
oh,
right.
we're the state's going to reimburse us.
All right.
We're going to get money from. And if it doesn't happen, they only have $2 million for the whole state.
Last
so.
word, Bill, on this, because I got to throw this sucker
No,
on.
I think that I town manager, and I agree with the stabilization fund. That's all I agree with the stabilization, exactly.
We'll keep an eye on that, folks. We got a short night tonight, so we're going to move on to the next thing. All right. The former police chief is looking for some more walking away money. He got a.
It wasn't a lot though, wasn't it? Like $7,500, $7,700, something like that.
If you don't think it's a lot, write me a check right now. In fact, I'll take half of it.
Well, compared to
Is
what
it
our
due,
previous
first of
town
all,
manager
is
got.
it due
All right.
to him?
All right. Here's the deal. All right. So after 34 years with the department,
Yep.
he took a check for $21,300 payout for unused sick time, according to the town. All right. He now is demanding $7,759 for unused personal days in compensation time.
Was that in his contract?
Well, from what I've been reading up,
think so.
that you can't, that you use it or lose it in that money.
If it was
The
that
sick
set up
time is
that way.
payable, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's what he got.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you, and everybody that is watching this show is politically savvy, knows this. And I'm glad Kevin's not the chief anymore, because they'd probably get pulled over on the ride home. But everybody knows that Dave Chartrand's been running this town for 5 years now. You know, Dave's been doing all the work. And the chief really hasn't been around a lot. And so I don't know how we could have all this.
If it's in
Extra
his
sick time.
contract, if this is in his contract on
That
paper,
part
it's
is
a,
and not.
It's the
you know, I think whatever due someone when there's an agreement made, it should be fulfilled. Other than
But
that,
if it's
no.
not if it's not in the
If
contract,
it's not in the agreements at all written down, no, then I would probably argue
I
that.
was just reminded how Bob, Corey, and Gay really beat me up during the Housing Authority thing and the Mary Carabatzis thing, and I shouldn't be so nice to him. but I'm trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah, that's hard to you. You'd never know it today.
Proud of you,
Hey,
Brian.
you would
Proud of
never
you,
know
Brian.
it today.
But if they cross me, I'll kill them. All right, so the bylaws state that it's personal days he is asking for. You use them or lose them. That was explained to the chief when he didn't receive it initially. The issue, he's hired a lawyer, he's lawyered up, and he's gonna sue the town. Now, hopefully the town doesn't give in, because obviously the lawyer's gonna cost the town money, because you don't want this to become a precedent. If the town feels they have a great case, then they should not give in. But if the chief feels he has a good case, he should pursue it, or if the former chief.
That's why we have a legal system.
Right. The problem is that, again, everybody knows he didn't spend a hell of a lot of time. And I'm surprised
The
he had
last few
sick time.
years,
Yeah.
The last year or so.
And Mr. Chartrand, Dave Chartrand, deputy chief, pretty much was doing his job and the chief's job. So,
Well, like I said, if it's not on paper or stuff like that, I would hesitate to pay it. But if he's due it, he should get it.
all right, next question,
What's-
right? I don't know who's cleaning it up.
I'll do it, Brian.
All right.
I won't.
Bill, can I throw this one at you?
No. Yes.
The ballot question, number 2,
Number 2, that is the.
charter schools?
I'm for charter schools, 100%. Do you want me to tell you why? The only ones who despise it are the teachers' unions. Common Cause, the main reason why I don't like it, and I don't think the federal government should be involved in our school systems. It should be up to the town and tell them to take their money and stick it where the sun don't shine.
You're being
Well,
the
that's-
nasty one on
I
that.
am.
that was pretty nasty
Seriously.
for him.
Hey, why we're teaching to dumb down the kids? We're teaching everybody to be a winner, equals.
Yeah. everyone
Gordy,
gets a
what's your
trophy.
opinion on that?
Well, we talked about this. I had Colleen Gary on the show, our last
Oh
show.
yeah,
on
by the
Old
way,
Home
folks,
Days.
hey, let's give it to Gordy. He did an awesome
Thank you,
job
thank
running
you.
the show last
Thank
time.
you,
I don't have cable, so I didn't. see
Mr.
that.
Zimini came down. Johnny,
Yeah.
nice to have you
thank
back
you,
in
Johnny.
town.
And hello, Johnny.
And I did float a rumor out there that John Zimini was moving back to town. And
It's
I
true,
believe,
huh?
He did not
He
confirm
denies
or
it,
deny.
but he's not telling anybody until after the closing. I'm just putting it out there. After the closing, he'll let you know. You'll be the first to know, probably right here on
We'll
Dracut.
break that.
Oh yeah.
news.
Oh yeah.
All right, so back to question number 2.
I think, we've talked about schools pretty much on every show I've been on at this show. And I just think if people are so sick and tired of the Dracut Public Schools, go to a charter school.
Absolutely.
And let's give more money to the charter schools, because that gives them more options and allows them to take more students.
Absolutely.
So it gives
if
you an
you're not
option.
happy with the school system,
you
anywhere,
got-
in
go,
any
move.
place, city or town,
Pay
you should have
either pay for a private school or go to a charter school.
charter.
Here's my opinion.
Go ahead.
And it's going to fall in line. Okay? I'm a fan of the charter schools. I'm a fan of the vocational schools.
So
I'm
ain't
a
I.
fan of private Catholic schools, Muslim schools, Jewish schools. I don't care what it is. What I like is competition.
Absolutely. And
And
that's what makes a better
That
school.
is going to make Dracut Public Schools a better school, because they have to compete
Pete.
to keep the kids and the money in the
this
district.
Exactly.
The teachers' unions and all those folks don't like it because
Now their teachers have to work just as hard to compete.
Yes, exactly. You know what? You got to have skin
somebody
in the game.
just texted me that Mr. Shaw and Mr. Dracut are shaking in their pants right now if Zimini comes back to town. If I told you who this person was, and it's not Mr. Zimini, but you'd all laugh, because it's one of them. No, it's not Bob Corey. But so
Leave
any
Bob
other-
Corey alone.
No, I even said Bob Corey might be out of the good old boys gang.
Oh, I don't know.
So
I'm for this question. I think it's good for the public schools in general. It's
Absolutely.
good for schools. And actually, if you look at it, the per pupil spending goes up for Dracut if this passes. Not saying they get more money total, but the per pupil amount spent on the town will go up. So,
Exactly.
so it's actually, if you look at it from just that perspective, it's good for the Dracut Public Schools.
competition, folks.
Competition is always been good.
Competition makes everything great.
And you have better choices. With
Yep.
competition, you have better choices,
Exactly.
especially for your children.
Right.
And the people that can't afford to send them to private schools, that
go to
really
the charter.
care
They
for
have
them,
an option to go
they
to the
have
charter
go to an option, or actually really get heavily involved with the school system. The parents also have to play a part. They just can't.
And
drop.
Colleen, our friend Colleen, is not for this question. She's against this question.
Any particular reason why? I didn't.
Well,
I don't want you to
I don't
speak
think
for her.
I
but-
don't think she wants to lose the union vote. Let's put it that way.
Right. She's a politician.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this also, but I was a little upset at Colleen for a little while because I think she's chummed up to Mr. Shaw, and and Mr.
I thought we were going to have one night without.
beating up Mr. Shaw.
Exactly.
Well,
the first
I
time I'm
didn't-
on in over a month, right? And you're already starting to beat up
I
everybody.
didn't beat him up. Everybody knows he's ugly. That's not beating him up. But I was upset at Colleen for a few things, and I think I'm almost over that. So
I hear you.
I don't know if she's over me
So we're going to do.
being upset.
Are we going to do number 2 now?
Right.
The question number 1. Isn't that the one with the marijuana? Question number 1.
Well,
No, that's the casino. 3 is marijuana.
Oh, 3 is marijuana. Okay, all right. That was one of those.
All right, so I don't have that on my agenda, but
Do you think they?
I just saw something in the Lowell Sun. They did a poll.
Yes,
and it was actually winning.
Winning. I personally.
surprises me.
I'll tell you right now. I'm going to vote against it.
I'm going to vote against it too.
You are,
As well.
but this is what's going to happen now. I know people about my eye problem and everything, right? And it says, you're a perfect candidate to get the licenses
it's
for
not
that.
talking about medical marijuana. If I, am I
No,
correct?
this
No,
is
no,
like
this is
Colorado.
recreational.
It's gonna
This
be
is like Colorado. Yeah.
Recreational. I'm perfectly 199% behind
Medical?
medical marijuana.
Not for glaucoma.
I'm behind it. If you don't want it, you don't have to.
No,
have
you're
it.
absolutely. But
I'm
I'm just
behind
saying.
medical marijuana.
Right.
I've got
And
this.
that's what's currently.
Hey,
in
I'll tell you right now. This is.
place.
I'll give you a little story on that, especially if you're going to do it
right,
for
I gotta
glaucoma.
get rid of
Wait
this
a minute.
one.
All right. So if you're going to do it for glaucoma, this is the story behind it. It was told by me by my physician and everything else. He's going. It does bring your pressures down. But he goes, are you ready to go for a seesaw ride? And I goes, what are you talking about? He goes, you get high as soon as the drug comes down and you're back to normal again, the pressures start going up. You'll be going like this. You'd have to stay high all the way he explained it to me. You'll be high all the
Like
time.
you were in the 60s.
Yes.
Right.
All right, but that,
I have to
go
move
ahead.
on.
Go ahead, move
If
on.
we're going to
Move
have
on.
time for
All right.
Bill's Corner.
Yeah, planning board appointment. As you folks know,
Did you get it?
I applied for the planning board position because
And?
Mr. Tebow stepped down. I went and sat down with the manager, had a 20-minute conversation, and of course, as soon as I walked through that door, there was 50 phone calls to Town Hall West saying I was in the manager's office. All right. The manager explained to me that he could not, and I'm not putting words in his mouth. This is me kind of paraphrasing. There was no way in hell he was going to get away with appointing me to that position. He'd be fired the next day because I've got too many political foes on the board of selectmen. So there was no way he was going to appoint it. So we were hearing this rumor about somebody who was going to get appointed, and I'm like, okay, who's the hack going to be that gets appointed? And I don't know if you know who it is, but this particular person, I really like this person. I think he's knowledgeable, but I have a problem with him. And I really like this person. And again, very knowledgeable. And this particular person is Doug Dooley. And if you know Doug Dooley, he's done a ton of things for the town, donated a ton of his time and money.
Wait, isn't he on capital planning or something?
He's
Isn't
on
he
the
one of
permanent building committee.
Permanent, okay.
Huge asset to the time, and I really like the guy.
I do too.
And I've never done any work in Dracut, making money other than working for friends, and I lose money and family, right? So I sat, and Doug Dooley's come in front of me on the planning board. Here's the rub. Here's the problem I have. This Doug is a developer in town, the biggest developer Dracut has ever seen. How can he be sitting as a planning board member when he's developed probably 3,000 houses in Dracut in subdivisions?
Well, it'd be easy for
50
him.
lots, 60 lots.
Be easy for him to sit on.
Right, but isn't there some type of conflict of interest? Or
I would think it'd be hard on some questions he would not be able to. He'd have to back
Yeah.
right out of it. I would think
yeah.
there would be.
And I don't think Doug and his partner Jerry Lucia, who's another great guy, I don't think they're building houses anymore. They own land and they might be developing, and you know, I think they've sold lots to their sons, Brian and Jerry Jr., and they might be developing it. But I just find it hard that they were so desperate not to let me get the planning board position that they had to put Doug Dooley in. And
Why? Whose spot did he take?
Phil Tebow's. You know,
That's right, yeah, that's
and I just don't know how he can sit there on that board and approve subdivision. I would think he would be really sympathetic to any type of developer coming in. You know, and Doug has been a
friendly with.
right.
Doug has done a lot for the town too. I
He's
got to
done-
admit,
he's a huge asset
yes,
for
he
the
is.
town on the permanent building committee. He's done a great job. I personally know when we were developing the Veterans Park concession stand that Doug and Jerry paid for the roof and the framing labor out there, and there was a donation from him. I know they donate tons of money and things that you folks out there nobody ever knows about. They give to the town. I just think it's a bad appointment position for him.
I don't know if it's a bad appointment right now, but if he follows the rules of the bylaw and the state laws on conflict of interest at any type, he should actually be leaving, walking out, because the guy is smart. He's no joke.
Oh, yeah,
he's real smart. But I would.
He's probably the only
and
one
I would.
smarter than me.
I'll tell you right now. I think
bylaws.
I think he would reclude himself. Say, see you later. I'll be back when.
and
Call
honestly,
me when it's over with.
Doug really never came. Doug always had his lawyers come in front of the planning board. You know what I mean? He would be sitting in the audience, and he might have a comment here and there coming up in front of the planning board.
That's funny. I never see. I think Dougie came to one or two of our meetings.
Right.
It usually was Jerry that would come in. you
Yeah,
know.
Jerry comes
He'd
in.
come
Jerry's always got that big smile, you know, and they're both great
I'll tell you
guys.
right now, with Jerry and Doug, when they say they're going to do something, they do it.
They do.
Exactly.
All right,
They-
I
they-
have to go on because Bill's going to get mad that we don't talk about. So at the selectmen's meeting, MRI came in to discuss
Headhunter.
MRI.
to discuss the fire department evaluation, and you know Jesse kicked the crap out of him, folks. Jesse was quiet during Trinity Ambulance because Trinity gave him a lot of walking around money for his campaign, and so, and I should also throw out there that Tony Achinsky, who I've been kind of favoring lately a little bit too much maybe, also got a huge amount of money from Trinity. But, you know, Dracut kicked the crap out of MRI, and so did Jesse. They're trying to stop any future audits in town. And, hey, I just got a text message. Mr. Zimney must have been watching.
Hi, John.
And he says, say hello to Joe Dracut for me. Hey, Joe, Mr. Zimney says hello, and you're the best. I guess during the selectmen's meeting, Dracut mentioned Zimney's name. So,
What was it? Do you remember?
I don't know, maybe John will
I think
call
after
up.
he called the MRI headhunters, I think it was around that time.
Yeah. Any comments about the MRI? Because I do want to get into some Trump.
We talked about this on the last show. I think they did. You know, I think it's kind of a conflict of interest with these guys too, because Ouellette comes in and does the police audit. Now he's the interim police chief. These guys come in. They publish the personal survey questions of all the employees that they surveyed. I think they could have just did a summary of that, which they did post the summary in the report. I did read the whole report. They published the summary of it. I think that would have sufficed, but then
The comments is where the mistake was made.
Yeah, I don't think
And,
they
and
need
you
to
know
do
what? I
that.
think the manager apologized for that becoming public. I don't think that was ever meant to become public.
because it was like there was like obscenities in there.
And the killer is that, you know, the fire department is run very well.
Yeah.
And,
And that's what
everybody,
the
they
report
do have some
overall
issues.
was good.
Right. They have some issues down there, and the chief obviously had some issues with, or some staff had issues with the chief, and so there's still a little bit of problem there. Folks, in your family, don't tell me you all sing Kumbaya at Christmas. Because
You're absolutely- I was just gonna say something.
bickering going around.
I'll tell you,
There's
they're
always
like
black
family.
sheep.
Those guys are actually like family, and they're like brothers and sisters. You know, they are, and they.
You've always got a couple black sheep.
Yeah, you know, not black sheep, but you know, some that are a little more tougher than the others.
I grew up with the Notini brothers, Mark and Doug. And Notini's a big family in town. There's 11 siblings. And we'd be hanging around, and they used to fight like cats and dogs. The brothers, they're
Yeah,
twins.
yeah.
But as soon as, like, somebody else was picking on one of the brothers,
would
it was
go.
over.
Over, exactly.
It was over, you know, it was blood time, you know. So that's how the fire department is. They might bicker, and
It's
I'm suppose the
natural.
police department is the same way. They may bicker between them, but they got each other's backs.
When you're that close to each other every day, 24 in the fire department, 24 hours a day.
Like you and your wife.
It's like there's going to be argument sometime. If not, there's something wrong with the picture.
Right. All right, we're on to the presidential campaign. All right, so Bill,
The
Did you
debate.
watch-
Did you watch the debate, Bill?
I didn't watch the first quarter of it. I was at a meeting, but I did caught the kind of 3/4 of it after. And Donald was Donald as far as I was concerned, but he was a little politer, but not as much. But you know what I found? If he'd stop his facial expressions a lot,
Right.
rolling the eyes and, going,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying? But I'm still stuck voting for the man because he's way better than she. I feel a little more safer with her because, number one, I think we're going to get killed by a lot of illegal immigrants that are coming to this country, the ones that are on welfare. As soon as they come in from other country, boom, they give them welfare, they give them housing.
Now, Bill, I heard a rumor you were going to back Jill Stein, the rainbow candidate.
Rumors. No, I made a commitment to Trump. I did actually, and that was about 2 weeks
Gordy,
ago.
I want to hear your assessment of the debate.
I mean, a lot of people, obviously the media, thought that Hillary won. I thought he did a good job. I think he interrupted a little too much, and like Bill said, he went. Lie, wrong, lie.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that, and I don't
He's
have.
just got to learn to sit back, let her finish.
And then
I watch a lot of Judge Judy, Brian, and when Judge Judy
Are
says,
you eating bonbons while you're watching?
yeah,
Judge
exactly,
Judy?
absolutely,
he's got a crush on her.
I do. And she says when she asks someone a question, the other person tries to interrupt. She says, "Shut up," and then she says, "Okay, continue." So he's just got to learn that.
No, but seriously.
Well, I grew up in an Irish family, and that's how we handled it too.
no, seriously,
you know.
that's the way.
All right,
the
here's my
difference is. Go
assessment. I think the Donald did very well in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
he was in very much command of anything economics.
He had a reeling.
He really knows his stuff there. And folks, that's what I want. I want the economy to come back.
Yeah.
Where Hillary, I believe Hillary won the debate overall. I think that she got him, it was almost like a rope-a-dope. And I'm a Trump supporter more than a Hillary fan. She was kind of throwing little jabs at him, and she had him up against the ropes a couple times because he was feeding into it. She took control of the debate. Lester helped quite a bit because Lester asked questions that were focused towards Donald's
Right.
issues rather than towards Hillary's.
Right.
All
You
right?
calling Hillary Muhammad Ali?
All right.
The
What
way
I'm
she
telling
handled
you,
it?
but I'm telling you like it is. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. But what I do believe is that I don't think it moved anybody's vote anywhere. I believe the people that are for Trump are with Trump. The people that are for Hillary are with Hillary. Those folks in the middle that they were trying to win didn't see anything to persuade
they
them
already
in
did
either
that.
direction.
I think the one mistake Trump made, she pinned him to the wall about the taxes thing. He hasn't released his taxes.
Right.
And then she goes, well, we could see back from 2012 and 2013, you don't pay any taxes. And then he could have said, what he should have said there is, yeah, because I work the system. It's the rigged system that you've been involved with over the last 30 years.
That was great. That was great.
Right? And then he should have said after that, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean that up so people like me can't pay zero taxes and they're going to pay their fair share. If he would have said
I
that,
think
That was
he
a
was
deal, yeah.
slam dunked her.
I think, in the heat of the moment, he missed a lot of opportunities
Yeah, he did.
like that where he could have, he really should have got into the emails more.
Yep.
He didn't. He should have brought up
Well, he did
Benghazi.
he did that when she said, "Why don't you release your taxes?" I'll do it as soon as you release the emails.
Right, but he could have talked about it more, and then, all the,
He should have called her in on all the lies she was saying. Why didn't he start criticizing Toomey for letting her get away? How come you're above against the law and nobody else is?
Right.
You know what I
She
mean?
lied to Congress. Why isn't she in prison?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's constantly even lying to the people when she's going out on her speeches, saying the emails, No, I'm not guilty of that. That's, I made a mistake. I shouldn't be in trouble for making a mistake. That wasn't a mistake. That was intent as far as I was concerned. And if it was you or me doing stuff like that, there'd be someone knocking on the door, come with us. We got to have a little chat. We're going to court.
Yep.
But they're all in Washington, D.C. They're all above the law, the Republicans and the Democrats. Not all of them. With the
And the folks over at the Dracut Housing Authority, the commissioners. You might as well throw them in there on that too.
No, well, anyway,
fat cats.
that's the problem, I see. The major problem is Washington, D.C., they're not following the law. And with Trump, you will have better Supreme Court justices appointed. With Hillary, you're going to get more of what they have in there now.
Do you think that, Hillary did a lot of practicing, and I think it paid off for her?
I think she was drugged up myself, to ease the pain. And I've seen some weird plumbing on the back of her when they had square boxes, something,
Well, that was probably the microphone. No, it wasn't the microphone. It was probably something else. But I think she did prepare for it, where Donald
she did.
didn't prepare for it.
Right.
And
They both have said that.
And I think he probably, he's one for never admitting. Unlike myself, when you're wrong, you sometimes admit it, but he doesn't do that. And but I do think that he'll be much more prepared for the next debate.
Yeah, he will.
I don't know if he'll bring up the Monica Lewinsky thing, about Hillary's husband, being a, what he is.
Yep.
I thought he almost was going to bring it up.
So John, oh, I'm sorry.
Don't insult
Gary, you like Gary Johnson?
Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you who he is.
Independent.
Couldn't tell you what
He's
he
the
looks like.
independent hippie, isn't he still a hippie or
Yes.
something? Right?
Yep.
I know he's taking points
And he
away.
got former Governor Weld as a running mate.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he's all
whoa.
for, he wants to legalize marijuana everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But he's got 9% of the vote, so he could
Be a spoiler for someone.
spoiler for one of them, yep.
Yeah.
The question is, and I always say this, that there are more takers than makers, which puts Hillary in the driver's seat because she's the queen of Taker Nation.
Hey, she's the queen. The whole Democratic Party is. They're
She's the
taking.
enabler.
They're taking
The
in.
enabler.
They're giving. They're bribing voters. That's what they're doing. With illegals.
What did you think of the,
Not illegals, but immigrants they're letting in this country.
When they talked about the policing thing, the search and frisk? Or
I'm for that.
what do they call it?
Yeah, search and frisk.
Search and frisk?
Yeah, I'm for that. Absolutely.
I am too, but do you think it's a constitutional issue?
No.
All right.
No,
It's
not if you
safety.
suspect.
It's a
If it's a
safety
safety
issue.
issue.
It's a
yeah.
safety issue,
I
right.
think they.
Safety should come
Why?
first.
Who cares about the Constitution now? They certainly don't in Washington D.C.
Gordy, you got 27 seconds. Are you closing the show?
I can close it.
That's
As always, folks out there, thanks for watching the show. We enjoy having you. This is our 128th episode, as Brian said, so we're always glad that you guys are watching. As always, give us feedback on our Facebook page. We're always glad to hear it. Brian will send you a nice message back. And join the conversation. Remember, only you can make change in Dracut, so you got to get out and vote. Join us next time on the Dracut Connection.
Very
Meanwhile,
good.
Stay connected.
Very good without a teleprompter. Not like Brian.